Ninjago fans were met with a very rare situation this year. Seabound as a show came out before the sets barely came to light. And an immediate problem with that is, first of all, the season rumbled up a desire inside of us to really want the sets. And especially for people in the American regions, the sets were so far away from release that the wait is a lot more agonizing than it really needs to be. Another more minor problem, however, is usually we get to see the sets first and then the season. So our brains are usually trained to see how the sets are in the show and then see how the animators did to properly represent that. This time, since we saw the show first, our minds are instantly going to, okay, the animators did this a certain way, but how are the sets representing that? And that's why you might be a little bit more frustrated than usual on some inaccuracies in the sets than you usually would if the sets had released first. So that makes today's video, where we compare the sets in the show to the physical product, all the more fun. So let's get right into the main video. First off, we have the Hydro Bounty, and I think the Hydro Bounty in the show and the Hydro Bounty in the set go very well together. There's really not much inaccuracies, even down to the two missiles that shoot from these sides. I think in both ways the Hydro Bounty definitely translates pretty well, and that's a good thing because a lot of people like the Hydro Bounty, including me, because I have a serious weakness for Team Ninja vehicles. The only kind of inaccuracies is in the figures, where we have a Woobot with legs, when in the show they were just decoy bombs. Next up, we have the Water Dragon, which didn't really have much screen time in the show, and that's why I'm not really going to be aiming to get this set, since I feel like having NRG Nia is basically having the Water Dragon. It's pretty hard to represent a elemental water dragon in the set form, because even in the show they had a hard time representing it. It's made of water. How do you convert that into plastic? Even in the past with other ninja elemental dragons, they look nothing like they do in the show, maybe even having a set of extra legs sometimes. So I wasn't really thinking the water dragon would represent as well, but they actually did a pretty good job for what it is. You can really feel that it is what it is in the show. The only thing that kind of sets me off is the fact that there's a lot of black in this. I feel like maybe if it was white it would look more elemental. Black is something that grounds a build, it makes it look more solid. Next up, we have Temple of the Endless Sea, which is kind of a set everyone's getting. The Merlopia build actually represents the city pretty well. It's always pretty hard to represent a whole city or something with a structure. It's not something Ninjago can really do with the parts budget, especially when these cities are so large. And I kind of see what they did here. They split it into 3 different builds that are supposed to represent something huge from far away. They're supposed to represent the main shot of Merlopia, but once you get close you realize that it's all minifigure scale. So from a distance, at least it compares something to what the actual Merlopia was, and then when you get close, you can actually see some interiors. The Wajira build, let's talk about that actually. It does have the little winglets that I liked on these sides, so that's fine. It does not hold the 2 amulets on its forehead. I feel like you can customize it a little to hold 2 amulets somewhere, but it can only hold 1 in its belly, which is kind of a bummer. You can unleash it with the chains on the side, so at least they kind of thought of that. But I feel like the main aspect of Wajira, which is putting 2 amulets and powering it up, should be available somewhere. The head is also something I'm not really too happy with. Here it looks more savage and less intelligent, when in the show it looked like it had a lot more personality and it was more cunning in a sense. Next up, we have the Hydromech, which I feel like is one of those sets I'm gonna see in every 5-year-old's house just because it's Lloyd's vehicle and it's so cheap. The thing with Hydromech is in the show it was actually in the Hydro Bounty and you can launch it from there. And to make up for that, the Hydro Bounty has the mini subs that you can release. So at least it's a vehicle, a proper vehicle that you can release. And the Hydro Bounty also has the mech that you can release from the front. So they definitely try to be accurate there, including the crab claws, which are a lot bigger in the episodes and they're a lot smaller here, but at least they have the translation over there. And finally, we have one of the sets that I'm really excited for because I'm a Jay fan and I love cool cars, and when Jay's getting a car, that's definitely something that I'm gonna love. And this is the Ninja Sub Speeder. To what it was in the show, it definitely does capture that F1 look. I know the Ninja Sub Speeder didn't last long in the show, but when it did, it was really cool. This one can transform into a submarine just like in the episodes. While the wheels don't flip the right way though. For some reason in the show they decided for the wheels to flip up, and in the set it flips down, but not all the way. However, that is all for this video comparing the sets to the show. Comment down below which comparison was your favorite and which ones do you think captured the essence of the set the most. Thank you for watching a video talking about the Seabound sets, which a lot of us are dying for its release, and I really hope this wait ends pretty soon. I think we have a month or so till August 1st. And as usual, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.